Yes, the Tigers are better than their record. And no, Al Avila is nowhere near the level of Matt Millen. But yes, Al Avila has to go.
We're all behind our baseball team. Go get 'em! Detroit Tigers! Go get 'em, Tigers!
What's up, Michiganders? My goodness, this has been an extremely frustrating baseball season. So the Tigers right now 26 and 41, fourth in the AL Central, and this team is nowhere close to competing for the playoffs. It's unbelievable that I said just a few months ago I thought this team was ready to compete for the postseason. I thought the rebuild was over, but boy was I wrong, and very, very wrong. I was very wrong about Al Avila. It it's just extremely frustrating. But let me get to my first point about the Tigers aren't anywhere near as bad as their 26 and 41 record. Yeah, I think that this team is a lot better than the way they've been playing. So if you look at before the season, you look at 10 key players for the Tigers. I'm going to go Jeimer Candelario, Javier Baez, Austin Meadows, Miguel Cabrera, Jonathan Scope, Robbie Grossman, Harold Castro, Willie Castro, and Tucker Barnhart. Those were supposed to be your 10 big players coming in. And obviously you have Green and Torkelson, who are now in the lineup. And so you look at the career OPS of these hitters. And in case you don't know what OPS is, it's on base percentage plus slugging percentage. So it's a good tracker of how often the guys get on base and how many bases they usually get when they do get a hit. Do they get singles? Do they get home runs or doubles? And usually the closer you are to 1,000, the better you are. So the career OPS of those 10 guys I just mentioned, which were supposed to be the 10 key hitters, I know I didn't include Baду or Haas, but these are the guys that are going to be in the lineup the most often. Career OPS is 730. And actually, that's not entirely correct. For Miguel Cabrera, I did his past 5 seasons because that's more reflective of the kind of player he is now. But with that considered, the career OPS of these guys, 730. That'd probably be about middle of the pack any season. So that's pretty much your whole lineup right there. And yeah, there's been a lot of bad luck. Austin Meadows getting hurt really hurt this team. Green getting hurt. Tucker Barnhart hasn't always been in the lineup, but you know what? The reality is these guys are underperforming significantly. This team this year, you know what their OPS is? 606. So without question, these guys are better than the way that they've been playing. And I think that's fair to say. This team should be a lot closer to 500. Now let me get to my second point. Yes, these guys are underperforming, and I do think that some coaching staff changes need to be made. Whether that's AJ Hinch, I don't know. But we also have to look at the hitting coach, Scott Coolball. This is 2 years in a row now the offense hasn't been spectacular. And I understand that, they didn't juice the balls this year, so that was going to affect us a little bit. I understand we didn't have an off season. I was very forgiving of this team's slow start, but at this point, there's no excuse. At this point, there needs to be a lot more production than there has been. This offensive output being the worst in MLB history is absolutely inexcusable, especially for this lineup, which should nowhere near, based on their career averages, be a bottom offense in MLB history. Even if they're not hitting as many home runs with the balls not being juiced, the fact is a 606 OPS is absolutely unacceptable, and that's got to change. But let me get to Al Avila. The second point I made, he's not Matt Millen, because I think that the future of this team is still pretty bright. Yes, even with this record. The pitching staff has been the most unlucky I've ever seen, and yet we still have been very solid there. I think Tariq Schoolball was a hit. Casey Mize going through Tommy John surgery is unfortunate, but I think a lot of fans are giving up on him a little bit too early, but I want to see what he does after Tommy John. I can't really complain about him. Matt Manning was doing great things this year before he got hurt. Turnbull getting hurt. Everybody's been getting hurt, and yet Alex Faedo has been excellent. You've had a bunch of other guys step up. Other guys get hurt. But the pitching staff overall has not been bad. Brett Britsky's not been bad. Plenty of good names there. So Al Avila doesn't have this team quite like the '08 Lions, where there was absolutely no hope for the future. There's still some talent on this team. They're not all on the field right now, but there still is some talent. And the third point, it is time to fire Al Avila. Just because you're not Matt Millen, that's not the standard. The fact is, this is your 7th year, and this is the best you can come up with. And look, if the Tigers don't want to be a team that splurges in free agency, okay, whatever. But when you're drafting players, you better make darn sure that if you're not going to be spending money in free agency, you better make sure you get a big hit in the draft. And the reality is this team hasn't done it. 7 years of drafting, 7 years of trades, all this and that, and this is the best you can come up with. I completely understand that we were in a bind for a few years, but you know what? Avila's draft record, his trade record is absolutely horrible. Trading for Isaac Paredes, that was a terrible trade. And right now, this Isaac Paredes trade for Austin Meadows is not looking like a good trade. I mean, I know Meadows hit 30 home runs last year, but maybe the Rays knew he was dealing with vertigo. Who knows? If he can't overcome that, then we're in big trouble. The fact is, this is year 7 of Al Avila, and nobody in this lineup really stands out. Nobody. Even Javier Baez, career OPS of 768, that's slightly above average. And for what we're paying him, that's absolutely not worth it. If you wanted to get someone big in free agency, you go after Carlos Correa with a career OPS near 900. And I know I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the OPS, but I think that's the best statistic for baseball. Not batting average, not just pure slugging percentage, but a combination of them both. Because this team is not good at getting on base, but they are historically bad at hitting home runs. And given what I'm seeing in this career lineup, this team was never going to excel offensively. Even if everybody was having career years, this would still be, at best, a mediocre offense. So Al Avila's inability to address the hitting has been absolutely disgraceful. And you know what, Chris Ilitch, you're on the 8 ball right now. If you want me to regain respect for you, there's 3 things you need to do. Number 1, fire Al Avila and replace him with Theo Epstein. How lucky are we that we have a great general manager out there with a proven track record who's excellent at drafting. I think you need to go after Theo Epstein. I think this is his next job and he's ready for it. And the second thing that Chris Ilitch needs to do is exactly what Sheila Ford did. Hire a committee to hire the GM and some of the scouting department personnel. Get some of those guys to do it, because it's clear to me that Chris Ilitch doesn't want to be involved with this baseball team. If he did, he would have fired Al Avila on the spot. It's absolutely disgraceful. So if you don't want to do the work, find a committee that will do the work for you. Just get some guys that played MLB baseball in the past, guys that have good knowledge of the game. That's essentially what Sheila Ford did, finding a committee to try to hire Brad Holmes, getting Chris Spielman in the front office. That's the kind of stuff that Chris Ilitch needs to do. And the third thing is you got to get some progress in downtown District Detroit. That's an embarrassment. District Detroit needs to start improving. Right now, Chris Ilitch looks like a fat and happy guy that got all his money from his dad and is just sitting back, cigar in his mouth. I don't have to do anything. Well, fine, but I don't have any respect for you. You haven't done a thing for this city. And you're darn lucky that Steve Yzerman was there, because otherwise the Red Wings would be a complete disaster too. So count your blessings. Right now I have no respect for Chris Ilitch, and whether he cares or not, fine. But if he cares even a little bit about his dignity or any of our fans' respect towards him, he would make those 3 moves right there, because 7 years is long enough. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And you know what? We get a good GM. I would say 2023, this could be a great baseball team. But we're going to need to open the wallets a little bit, or we're going to need to draft better. One of those 2 things. And that starts with hiring a better general manager and getting a better scouting department overall. All right. Thank you all for watching. Go Tigers, and have a good night.